James Lynch here for Home of Fight. It is always great catching up with my next guest. He's going to be taking on Soriano, UFC Houston, February 21st. He's going to fight in front of a crowd. That's always a nice thing. It is RAMIZ BRAHIMAJ here on the program. RAMIZ, how are you, man?
Doing great, brother. How you feeling?
I'm doing awesome. Good to talk to you. Fun fight here, right? Puna, obviously an action-packed guy. When did you find out about the matchup, and how did this all come together?
Shoot, man. I've been so deep in camp right now. Weeks feel like days.
For sure. Let's make it easy. Before the holidays, after the holidays, when did you find out? Yeah.
Man, I want to say maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, if my memory holds true.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's I know that they were telling me that they wanted to put me on the Houston card,
right?
But I remember it was getting filled up, so I was like, I don't think I'm gonna be on the Houston card. You know, I was like, whatever, but I'm gonna stay ready because I know that there's usually a tendency. I'll start to see guys that I fought on the card with, and they'll start getting booked up. I saw that some of them, they were fighting on the February 7th card.
Yeah.
So I remember I was talking to my manager, and I told him, I said, man, we might be on this Houston card, but I remember they had 3 welterweight fights, right?
Yeah.
And I remember I told him, I was like, Justin, I don't know, man. I was like, usually when they do 3, that's it. They cap it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But to my surprise, man, they did 5, and they put me on the card. I said yes. They gave me Puna Soriano, and like I said, with the UFC, I know a lot of guys, they say no to matchups. I have a ton of respect for Puna, but it's just the business that we're in, and we're gonna go in there, we're gonna mix it up, we're gonna make some money for our families, and I'm gonna come out victorious. So I'm excited.
It's a great way to put it. Were there any other opponents in the mix, or was just Puna, and you're like, yep, let's go?
Nah, Puna, man. So I'm excited about it. Like it's with the UFC. Like I said, usually, I mean, sometimes they'll give you names, sometimes it's just one name. So I'm excited.
Yeah. You got a lot of people hitting you up for tickets because a little bit closer to home, right? For this one in Houston, right? So.
Listen, I already changed my number, James. The people that are important, they're gonna get the tickets. Everybody else, they can pay for it. Those days of me selling tickets are long gone.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I think people just assume you get a bunch of free tickets and you get a little bit, but not that much, right? So
sure.
That's why I brought it up, because like everyone thinks you're Ticketmaster all of a sudden, right? So.
Nah, 100%. Listen, you know what? If there was a way for me to sell tickets and make some commission off of it, yeah, for sure. But I only get a handful of tickets that the UFC gives to my family, and usually I just give it to my family members who've been at my fights.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we obviously know Puna, great knockout power, great striker. Just how are you looking at this one stylistically with your two styles put together here?
I think it's a fireworks. It's a real exciting matchup, and it made sense whenever I got the contract. I said I could see how that they were going to give me this name, or I thought that I might have had somebody like a vet name, but looking at the Puna Soriano fight, I mean, it does make sense. We're both 3-0. He's looked great since coming down to welterweight. His physicality, his wrestling prowess, I think that's something that's been a little underestimated about Puna since he's dropped to 170. I think his grapplings look sharp. And his striking is always good. He's always there. He's always in the fight. So as I said, for me, I've taken this camp extremely seriously, and I've just devoted every bit of my time to it. So I'm going to be ready.
Take me through camp a bit. Who've been some of the main guys helping you get ready for this one?
While I'm in Dallas, I train with Andy Zerger. He's one of the striking, boxing, kickboxing coaches. I got Dom Ducharme, Quentin Perez. Trained with my manager too, Justin Adams, and my brother Ramsey, and then another up and coming guy, Marco Soto. Whenever I'm here in Chicago, just a bunch of the Russians, man. So many of these Russians and upcoming Kyrgyz fighters that we have over here in Chicago. Obviously, Belal Muhammad, Ignacio Bahamondes, Charles Radke, all of these just this solid group of guys over here in Chicago. So whenever I'm home, I have a solid group. Whenever I come up to Chicago, I have an extremely solid group. The wrestling coach here is great. The jiu-jitsu coaches here are great, and it's awesome, man.
Yeah, and a lot of experience too over there in Chicago, and that's at Valley, obviously. For people who don't know, just because again, it seems like there's been a lot of welterweights going there, which is cool. I know Gerald Mercer, it's like a middleweight, but he does obviously helps out too, right, with all his experience.
Yeah, I trained with Gerald a ton, man.
Super smart guy, like just
very intelligent
and a good coach. Like I often hear a lot of fighters have him as their corner because he's so good at the corner advice too, right? So
I say this with all due respect, it's almost like a bunch of nerds. Like
Yeah.
it's a meeting of the minds. You know, whenever I come here to Chicago,
Mhm.
the training is it's intense as hell. It's very intense, but it's tons of structure and tons of preparation, tons of game planning, which is something that I absolutely admire because you know you never want to go into a firefight or you never want to enter a battlefield without intelligence. You know, so there's one thing to be said about a lot of the guys over here is that from Gerald to Mike Valley to Belal to all of these guys, they pre-practice, post-practice, during practice, there's always an analysis. It's like a meeting of the mind, so it's something great. And whenever I go back home to Dallas, it's the same thing. You know, I get to work with my jiu-jitsu coach, Laurence Marion, Andy Zerger, all of these guys, they give me great feedback. So it's very good. You know, I just feel like finally I'm at a position in my career where I have a lot of people on the same page as me, and usually that's when a spark gets ignited and greatness follows shortly after.
Well, we've seen it in the performances. Obviously, it's working for you as far as no, just splitting things up, and it's been good. And you mentioned the hungry Russians over there at Valleys. I mean that's got to give you it's kind of feeling that youth injection there too. Because I actually interviewed one of your guys. I don't know if you train with him, Beck Mirza. Is that his name? He fought
of course,
for
the
Mecca.
welterweight,
Yeah,
the welterweight
he fought
yeah,
Austin
man,
Tweedy.
that dude's
Yeah,
a beast.
yeah,
That dude's a beast, man.
yeah.
He's you know, honestly, I know he had a tough fight his last fight, but that's nothing to say about him. I mean, both those guys are probably him and his opponent are going to be in the UFC very soon.
That's what I
I
think. Yeah,
think Beck Mirza is a superb grappler. And once he starts to get his striking in line with his grappling, he's going to be a very big problem, man. He already is a big problem, and like I said, it's a guy that I share the room with. I love training with all of those guys. You know, we have so many. It's like what you said earlier. It's a very underrated camp, but I'm happy about it because I'm
yeah,
an underrated guy myself. I get
right.
overlooked a ton,
Yeah.
so it makes me happy. You know, I do my work in silence, James, and I always let my results do the talking.
Yeah, no, you certainly do. Speaking of which, I don't think the odds are out yet. Do you think you're going to be the underdog again in this fight?
To me, James, like I said in my
Well,
last,
yeah,
I
last
think
one.
I was an underdog in my last three or
Yeah, that's what I
whatever it
mean. Yeah,
was.
that's why I brought it up. So, but you love that
It,
role though. You love it when you can
yeah,
surprise people and stuff. So, in some ways, we should just tell people to make you the underdog, right? So,
yeah. Just tell them I haven't been training. I've been lounging in paradise. I've just been coming to Chicago and just enjoying the
eating some
snow and not
deep
doing
dish,
much.
right? So, yeah, yeah,
Eating
there.
some deep dish pizza, which I think is disgusting, actually. But
Yeah, it's not
I'm
my
a New
favorite,
Yorker
that's
at
for sure.
heart, man. I'm
Yeah,
I'm a New Yorker at heart, man. I love the thin crust.
yeah, I'm the same way. Your corner. So, what's that going to look like for this fight?
So I'm gonna have Mike Valley, Justin Adams, and one of the coaches, one of the guys over here, Alberto Rodriguez, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Great guy. We've been working. We have a pretty good connection for this camp. So it's been awesome, man. Like I said before, everybody's been on the same page. So I'm just very excited to go out there and mix it up on the 21st, man.
How's this fight playing out? I don't think this is going to the scorecards. This is one you got to keep an eye on for fight of the night.
You know, I think it's like I said before, I think it's another matchup that I'm probably going to be overlooked, which is fine by me. I don't really care. I think it's to me, I just envision winning, no matter who it is, no matter what it is. I'm always going to try to put a dominating performance. I'm going to try to keep an incredible pace, and it's what I train hard for. And like I said, I turned a new leaf, and that's it. I'm going to make my run, and I just see myself dominating. That's it. I respect every single person that I step foot into the octagon with, but it's my time. That's just the way that I look at it, James. And it doesn't matter who, doesn't matter when. I'm going to be ready, and that's it. Opportunity comes knocking. You got to answer the door.
Is this the fight that gets you that ranked opponent? You got to be pretty close to that, I would think, because it's one thing to go and get these wins and whatever, but to make kind of statements like you've been doing the last couple fights, that's got to get some attention. Now, again, not looking past this fight, but I'm sure you're thinking of what the
No.
rest of the year could look like.
That's my dream. That's my goal, 100%. I take it one fight at a time. I think a lot of guys they start to slip up when they start looking past opponents or they start looking at stuff like that. In my opinion, I think this is a ranked fight. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I take every fight like it's my last fight, and I treat every single fight like it's the most dangerous fight of my career. So that's exactly how I'm looking at it. But you know what? I think a win, especially a finish over such a freaking beast of Puna, is going to do a lot for me, and I think it's going to put a lot of eyes on me, and that's the goal. That's what I want to do. I didn't come into the sport. I didn't enter the UFC expecting an easy route. You know what I mean? I think a lot of guys, they get it mistaken. They think that they're going to have a walk in the park. There's no such thing as that. my walk in the park is when I win, you know, when I get to look back at my career, whenever I get to do that, all of that stuff, you know. So the only easy fight was my last fight. That's it. That's the way I look at it. The only easy day was just yesterday. That's it. So I think a win, especially a finish, I think I'm gonna put a lot of eyes on me, and we'll see how the year pans out. Like I said, and I mean, I would assume so, but you know, in this sport, if it's one thing that I've learned being with this organization is you never really deserve anything, and you just wait for your time, you wait for your number to get called, and when those opportunities come in, they come 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whenever they come, you got to be ready to take them and just grab it by the horns and get going.
Do you want to fight on the White House card if you were offered it?
You know, honestly, James, I always tell everybody this, man. Whenever they call, I always answer.
You'll say yes.
So
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Some fighters don't. That's
if,
why I asked. Like some fighters are like, I don't want to fight in front of politicians, and it's like I'd rather fight in front of the
man.
fans.
I mean, look, here's the deal. At the end of the day, you know, at the end of the day, this is what it is. If you get a contract, you're getting paid to fight. What are you doing? You're a prize fighter, right? It doesn't matter who's watching. I could be fighting in North Korea. You pay me money, I'm gonna fight in North Korea, my man. It is what it is.
Yeah, I don't know how the travel would be on that one, but yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, for sure.
You told me you don't, and this is, you know, good on you, because like a lot of us can't stay away from social media because we're addicted and all that. But you kind of mentioned it there, kind of honed in. I'm sure you didn't see the news today. Did you see? Well, you wouldn't have seen it. That's why I'm going to tell you right now. They removed Shavkat Rakhmonov from the welterweight rankings because Shavkat came out this week and said that he had a statement. He hurt his knee again, so he's going to be out for a while. Probably be out the rest of the year. I mean, I'm seeing your reaction now. How surprised are you that they decided to take him out of the rankings? Because here's the crazy part: they still have Colby Covington in the rankings, and he hasn't fought since 2024.
You know, for me personally, like I said, I'm not in charge of the ranking panels.
Yeah.
First and foremost, I wish that guy a speedy recovery.
Yeah.
He's a fellow athlete more than anything like that. Whenever it comes to this sport, you know, this is how a lot of us make money, right?
Yeah.
So for me to hear that his health has declined or anything like that, it makes me very sad. So my heart goes out to him. I hope that, you know, he can make a speedy recovery, come back. Colby sucks, dude, honestly. So I mean, easy money, right? It's like whoever gets that guy, you're getting another easy ranking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's funny. Like the way I look at it, I'm like, you know what? They can keep whoever they want in the rankings. You know, it's like when those guys they get these fights against certified killers, and then they get found out. It's like that's the irony of it, right? You're just like, oh yeah, well this dude got his ass kicked. But I mean, I feel bad for Shavkat, man. You know, that's somebody that I enjoy watching. You know, from a fan perspective, you know, I think he's very exciting. He's a freaking, the dude is always looking to finish a fight. You know, what more could you ask for in a fighter? But I hope he you know, the stars align for him again and he gets back in there. You know, these are all people that, you know, once I pay my dues, these are guys that I would love to mix it up with, every single one of these guys. So like I said, you know, it's kind of comical to see Colby in the rankings, but it's something that everybody knows. You know, it's like you're just like, whatever. Whoever gets
the reason I bring it up is because like I understand them removing Shavkat to a certain degree if he's not going to fight anytime soon, and you want to reward activity and guys that are fighting, but it just doesn't make sense. If you're going to do it for Shavkat, why are you not doing it for Colby, who hasn't fought even long? Like Colby's been out since 2024. Like why is he not removed? That's what I don't understand. And also because Shavkat was removed, they put Michael Venom Page in the rankings, which I'm okay with because again, he's done quite well. But here's the thing: his last 2 fights were at middleweight. So how do you determine that he's a ranked welterweight now? It just doesn't. It's just kind of weird the way they're doing it.
I mean, it is a little weird. It's interesting. You know, my thought process is this: is as long as you have guys who are active, and like you look at Venom Page. I know that he wants to fight again at welterweight. Whether he fights at welterweight or not, I know that he's made it vocal that he does want to fight at welterweight. So I could kind of understand them putting him in there.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with him being at welterweight. That's fine. It's just weird that like, you know, again, they're like he's had 2 fights at middleweight. It's like what was even the point of that? I don't really understand it. So
in my opinion, James, I'll say this: looking at the welterweight division. I do not envy Sean Shelby's job at all.
Yeah, no, I know.
That it's you know what? It's the best division in the UFC in my opinion, but it's the hardest division to like how do you match up? You know what I mean? It's so hard right now, but you know what? I think that it's the most exciting division in the UFC, and for that reason, like I said, it makes Sean's job easier, but it makes it harder at the same time because you know what? One thing is for certain. At the end of the day, Sean has the most exciting division on his hands, and he puts the most exciting fights on paper, I mean, look at my matchup. Look at the UFC Houston card. Look at the welterweights that are fighting all on UFC Houston. It's a welterweight showcase, man. They had one at Madison Square Garden. They're gonna have another one in Houston.
Yeah. No, they pull out all the stops. And my last question, just kind of talking about your division. Obviously, we have a relatively new champion in Islam Makhachev. Some question about who he should fight next. You know, there's been talk about Kamaru Usman, obviously being a former champion. You've got Ian Gary, who's only lost the one time against Shavkat in a pretty good fight. Like, it was close, right? That fight. And then you got Michael Morales, who just knocked out Sean Brady. Like, where do you stand on that? Like, again, I know you're not the matchmaker, but just as someone who's in the division, what would you like to see next for Islam as far as like his next opponent?
You know,
there's no wrong answer here, by the way. You know, it's
no,
it's just
no, for sure. My thought process is this. I think, in my opinion, I would say, right, I would honestly say Michael Morales or Ian Gary deserves the next shot. Either one, I would not be opposed to. In my opinion, I would say Kamaru versus Belal. Right, I would say Kamaru Usman
we all
versus
want that
Belal.
Fight, right? I mean, you this with the podcast that didn't air and all that stuff like that.
But I'm not even James. I'm not even saying this. I'm not even saying this because I train with Belal.
No. But I think most people agree with you, though. That's what I'm saying. Like, you know how hard it is to have, like, I know people don't like pro wrestling, but you know how hard it is to have like genuine like dislike for each other, and that like sells the fight and people want to see it. Like, there's that interest with that fight.
100%.
You don't get that happening too often. I don't know why they're not putting that fight together, because I know Belal wants it. I think Kamaru wants the title shot. Understandably, title shot or fight Belal. I mean, there's one's more lucrative, but I just think we don't have grudge matches that much, and that's a grudge match right there.
I mean, here, listen, James.
Yeah.
Think about it from this perspective, right?
Yeah.
Now, I understand legacy-wise, the Kamaru fight makes a lot of sense for Makhachev.
Yeah.
But what did we just say earlier about the welterweight division? This is the best division in the UFC right now, point blank, period. We are what the 155ers were several years ago. So, in my opinion, merit-based, earning-based, I definitely would say either Ian Gary or Michael Morales. I think that with the dialogue, that you have to put Belal Muhammad and Kamaru Usman to fight each other. It's just a fight that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, two former title holders.
Yeah.
Because how do you give Kamaru Usman a shot off of beating Buckley? No offense.
Well,
you know?
no, the other thing that people miss in that whole thing, and I agree with you, by the way, because you could make the argument, well, he's a former champion, and so that should hold some weight. But here's the thing: he didn't fight in 2024. A lot of people forget that. Like, he just took, and I know he had injuries and stuff, but like, just by comparison, Carlos Prates has fought 7 times since Usman fought Buckley. So it's like if you look from 2023 to 2026, Prates has fought 7 times. Like, you should reward people for being active, right? That's my thing.
No, 100%, because his strength of schedule is impressive. I mean, dude, the guy's coming. I think the guy has all finishes in his UFC. Like, he's coming off of 2 hot finishes.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So, like, in my opinion, as I've said before, I wouldn't hold the division up. Obviously, I'm not the matchmaker. Obviously, whatever the UFC says for me, whoever they offer me to fight, I got to fight. I can't say no. You say no one too many times, bye-bye.
Yeah.
You know, get out of my face. Which, like I said, it's a business. You got to understand that. This is the line of work that we're in, right? You're a prize fighter. You got to fight. That's how you earn your money. That's how you earn your keep, everything like that. But in my opinion, as I've said earlier, when you look at it, right, you got to put Kamaru Usman versus Belal Muhammad. That fight just makes the most sense to me, right? Here's the thing. Kamaru was coming off of 3 losses. He got Buckley, right?
Yeah.
He got Buckley. Belal's coming off of 2 losses. In my opinion, it makes sense. 2 former title challengers. They have animosity. They do not like each other. They do not. I can't reinstate that enough. They do not like each other. I think that fight makes sense. I think with that fight happening, the footage of the podcast is gonna come out some way or another, right? If they got these Epstein leaks going on, they should leak the podcast, right?
I agree.
They should leak
Trump's
the podcast. So somebody's got to get on it. One of you QAnon hackers or whatever, go leak that podcast for us, please.
Yeah, totally agree. Hey, we could talk about fights for like another hour, man. I appreciate the time. This is great. It's UFC Houston, February 21st. If there's anyone you want to thank before we get out of here, any sponsors, any social media you want to mention, I'll give you the last word.
Man, I want to thank my team up here in Chicago, back home in Dallas. I want to thank all the support that everybody gives to me every single day. You know, it helps me show up to practice, even the days that I don't feel like it. I want to give a huge shout out to my sponsor, Free, with their nicotine pouches. They're awesome, man. They always take care of me. They always hook it up. And also, I want to shout out my boys down in Austin, Texas, at Luminary Guard. Um, if you're in a red state that gives you access to firearms, everything like that, check them out. They got crazy good holographic sights. They're veteran owned, phenomenal dudes. Majority of the products made here in the USA. So that's about it. And just can't wait to see you guys keep this momentum going February 21st. So thank you very much.